Hello, 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 folks. Let's see now. Let's just let some people get in. Say hi, folks, if you can hear. Let's see if I open it up here. Bro, what's up? Hi, some guy. Can you hear me all good? Don't want to be talking into the void. Let's see. Can I hear myself on here? That's what I do. I just don't. Yep, it's me. Can you hear me all good? Excellent. Perfect. All right, well, it's on there. Hi, folks. How we doing? I'm going to put on a little bit of wee background music. I'm not have it too loud, but... Oh. A little bit. Not too loud. Hello, how are we? What's the crack? Let's see, some guy. Yeah, excellent, yeah. Are those wee crowns like saying that you're first in? Oh, top fans. Hello, top fans. Thank you so much. Hi, Jenny. Oh, Johnny. I think I know who that is. Hello. You're like, oh, he just went live. Let's go check it out. No pressure. All good. All good. What's the crack? So, folks, I hope you have been well. I hope you have been enjoying the run-up to Christmas. Now that we're in December, we can officially talk about Christmas, which is great. Even though we had Christmas dinner in November for reasons, but generally speaking, I usually don't like to put Christmas into my mind until December, and then once it's December, I'm like, yay! Well, that being said, I should totally get like a Christmas tree around here. Oh, here we go. Thank you so much for your videos. You're one of the reasons I got an A star for GCSE history from DaVinci8303. You are welcome. I'm glad. This is why I did. I was thinking that was Kate. Yes, Kate. What is the crack? I had my suspicions. You're very welcome. Love your videos. What was the first James Bond film you saw? Oh, great question. So just as a wee preamble, obviously as one of probably guessed by the name of the live stream, I am going to be ranking all of the Bond movies from no, just the official 25 ones. So Never Say Never Again and the other Casino Royale are not going to be included in this. But partially because I haven't watched them ones yet. But also just it's the official ones. It's cold and Mariah Carey is on the loose. Yes. And hunting for Michael Bublé. And with their powers combined, they will take over Christmas once and for all. Yeah, so I... now that Amazon has bought James Bond, which is, classic Bond villain thing to do. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Jeffrey. All of the Bond movies are now up on Amazon Prime. And this is not a paid advertisement. But I saw that they were on there. And while I was working on some illustration jobs, I like to have stuff in the background. And I have a third screen right here. So I was actually able to kind of pay attention while doing a lot of the stuff as well. And I got watching each Bond film in order of release throughout, and it was really interesting because there were some that I had definitely seen, and then there were some bits that were just iconic that I had seen through the countless documentaries and stuff of Bond that I'd seen over the years. But then there were some that I just straight up had never seen. But which is funny because when I was like 11, 12, 13, I was a massive James Bond fan. Partially due to, if you can hear, that's the GoldenEye N64. In fact, literally, GoldenEye is what is sitting inside my Nintendo 64 right now, because it is awesome and I love it so much. So it was that game that really no, Bezos isn't a real life Bond villain, he's a real life Lex Luthor. I mean, super villain, Bond villain, quelle différence. But yes, so the GoldenEye video game got me very much into James Bond. That and my dad. And I assume, Kit, if you're watching, hi Dad as well. My dad very much got me into James Bond too. He was always a fan growing up. He always told me about, he had an Airfix model of Little Nelly, the helicopter, the little one person helicopter from You Only Live Twice. And I actually recently hunted one down on eBay and got it for him. And he was all delighted and nostalgic about it. So during my childhood, I don't know specifically which one was the first one, but throughout my childhood, I definitely had seen bits of Diamonds Are Forever, in no particular order. Live and Let Die, You Only Live Twice. I definitely seen a good bits of those. And then I'd seen bits of the On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Yeah, like I'd seen those first three a lot, and then bits and pieces of all the others. And then once I played GoldenEye on the N64, I then really wanted to see the movie, and so I went and rented it out from Extravision and watched it, and I was delighted. It was so cool because the levels are so well designed based on the actual sets from the movie, so that was really cool. But folks, that was my preamble, and I'm just gonna start. I'm not 100% sure what way this is gonna go, but I have it in my mind, a couple of ones where I'm like, right, this is definitely going up on the list and some are going down on the list. I just have it set up on a Word document, all the different bonds, all the different posters, and I'm just gonna flick them up and down the rankings just to see how it all works. So let's make a start. Let us make a start. So let's see. So Dr. No, iconic, first one. So it's gonna stay up on the hill, up on the top of the charts for now. It was interesting kind of watching Sean Connery. I actually thought this would be blasphemous to a lot of Bond fans, but he was not one of my favorite Bonds at all. He was just I found he was the most the way that he would get distracted by women, he seemed to be the most immature out of them. You know, it's like when Roger Moore or Pierce Brosnan, would be like, oh well, I've got another 5 minutes. They were able to pull it off better. I just found Sean Connery to be a bit more, oh, it's a pretty lady, oh, beautiful. So yeah, I know, blasphemous. Let's starting off on a good note. Somebody's saying here, the game was a favorite of my parents too. Oh, thanks, you're making me feel old. My parents played the game. I like how it showed that FPS could work on consoles, and Halo, which I'm a big fan of, probably wouldn't exist probably without its success. I mean, you say, yeah, FPS, yeah, first person shooters. I was thinking FPS, frames per second, because, the frame rate in that game. Any kind of explosions or more than one thing happening at once, oh my god, you can bring that game right down to a grinding halt. I remember do like infinite mines and stuff, and you could like layer them one on top of the other, and like you just have this big row of mines coming out the wall, and eventually it would just get to a point where the game would just start glitching and being all weird and stuff. They bought it. They got bought out by Microsoft and got stuck in Kinect limbo for a decade until they finally made Sea of Thieves. Oh yeah, I know. Rare were amazing. Rare really were amazing. They were my favorite game producer growing up. So let's see now. From Russia with Love. I think I preferred it to Dr. No. Let's see. Okay, so that's how this is gonna work. There we go. It's a bit rudimentary, but it gets the job done. Or does it? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I definitely preferred it to From Russia with Love. I loved the whole idea of... Oh, I'll show you this book as well that I got just to... So this here is quite an old book now. It's in pretty decent nick, given how much I absolutely poured through this. But this is the best of Bond, and it just goes through all of the Bond movies now, up as far as Tomorrow Never Dies, because that's how far that's when this book came out, was alongside Tomorrow Never Dies. But yeah, I loved this book so much. And actually that was something too that was funny watching these movies, because seeing certain images that I'd seen in those, going, oh, yeah, I recognize that photo. So yeah, From Russia with Love, that was the alternate. She was a spy from Russia as well. Yeah, I found there was much more. I found it really interesting, just all of the different tropes that that they're outlying. Like you had there was a number 3 or number 2 or. For so many of the Connery films as well, all I could think of was Austin Powers in a lot of ways. Like, you know, and just seeing how a lot of those tropes were established. And like the final little twist ambush, you know, where just after the big battle and you think it's all over, and then all of a sudden, oh no, she's in the hotel room. So, but now, From Russia with Love, I think definitely, Goldfinger, absolutely. I mean, it's quintessential Bond. They even got the whole kind of Bond villain thing down more with regards. What's going on here? Yeah. Is that? Oh, that's what's going on. Yes, there we go. You're probably sitting there going, John, you could have done this in a much more straightforward way. But sure. Yeah, there we go. Right, so yeah, no, Goldfinger, definitely, it is quintessential Bond. The laser going up between the legs. You know, do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. And of course, all I could think of then as well was Hank Scorpio from The Simpsons. No, I expect you to die and have a really cheap funeral. But even like things like, you know, him explaining to all, Goldfinger explaining to all of his cronies his plan, and like pressing the button and unveiling this whole scale model of Fort Knox and stuff. It was like Bond villain stuff, you know, and it was just like cool just seeing all of these tropes. That was another thing that I loved from Russia with Love, actually, was the first iteration of like an anti-Bond with was it Red Butler, and the duel that they had in the train was excellent. And it's funny too, like how certain things recur time and again, like, you know, there's train scenes and, you know, water scenes, and like there's certain things, like obviously car chases and stuff, but it's funny how there's certain like kind of tropes within tropes that tend to get. There's Thunderball. I think Thunderball can stay there. It was very good. It was very good, and it was really funny actually in the opening sequence of it, because it has. I love too how all of the opening sequences, point towards what you're about to see, and thematically what you're about to see. And so in Thunderball, there's a lot of scuba stuff and harpoons and all sorts of stuff. So it's all underwater. But all I could think of was in the opening of Thunderball was the opening of Spy Hard, the Leslie Nielsen parody movie, which does the same thing. Agent WD-40. But yeah, no, I quite like Thunderball. It's funny to finding out what some of the titles mean, because Thunderball is an agent. He's an agent of Spectre. That was something interesting too, was watching them in order and seeing how they tell the bigger story, particularly in the early films with Spectre and Blofeld and all of that, and just kind of world building. But of course, they do make a couple of wee mistakes here and there, which I'll get to. Right, so You Only Live Twice. Again, You Only Live Twice. Again, quintessential Bond. That's going up here. Yeah, I would say. Now, all of this to say as well, folks, there were some serious yikes moments in these movies. Like, these have not aged. These have not aged well with regards politics. I mean, the historical reference, but the treatment of women in these movies is just oof. And particularly, like in Goldfinger, it was just so messed up, because here you got Pussy Galore, who, well done, Ian Fleming, for coming up with that name, because she is essentially a lesbian, and she is immune to Bond's charms. And in the movie, straight up forces himself on her, and in Ian Fleming's own words, he cures her. Oh, so messed up, and then in You Only Live Twice, there's all sorts of there's tons of Orientalism throughout this entire series, but goes to Japan and full on gets eye prosthetics to make him look Japanese. Oh god. But all of that being said, with all of the problematic stuff, you've got so much really cool quintessential Bond of, you got Little Nelly and the absolutely amazing helicopter chase. That was, what year was that movie? That was Bond films. You Only Live Twice was 1967. Ugh, amazing. That was such an nowadays you'd do something like that and it's even if it was done in real life, you'd be kind of sitting there going, oh well, I'm sure they tidied it up with CGI, but that is no, it's just all there, it's all in camera, it's amazing. I mean, a lot of it is scale model work, but it's clever and it's in camera and it holds up really well, which is what I was really, really impressed with. So let's see. And then of course the songs too. Some of them better than others, but You Only Live Twice. I love the anecdote about You Only Live Twice because it was sung by Nancy Sinatra. And apparently the producers were like, oh brilliant, we've got Nancy Sinatra to come in here and record the song. They came in and realized that she was a very limited singer. Very iconic singer, but very limited singer. And they were like, really struggling to get it, and then eventually they just were like, look, we have enough, we'll make it work, and you only live twice. But another much better Bond theme, of course. Now, let's see, On Her Majesty's Secret Service. With all the time in the world. Let's see what the chat's saying, because I'm sure some of you are probably dropping some fantastic truth about Bond here. There we go. Let's see. It's like Power Rangers, but it's a British man in a tuxedo. 5 to 16s in costumes. Oh, this is halfway through a conversation I am not privy to. Oh, excuse me. Ken and set were amazing. Volcano Base in You Only Live Twice cost $1 million in 1967 money. That's amazing. $1 million. But of course, I mean, like, that's the volcano set was straight up Bond, you know. And once again, it was just so cool. Of course, You Only Live Twice is the first time where we actually meet Ernst Stavros Blofeld. Now we do. He is alluded to. He is in a couple of scenes where we see him pulling the strings of Spectre in previous films, but we don't see his face. But then we see him played by Donald Pleasance in You Only Live Twice, which then creates a complete continuity error, because then in the next movie of On Her Majesty's Secret Service, it's all about meeting Blofeld for the first time, and trying to all of the, yeah, it's weird. I did find it interesting how in that film The World Is Not Enough came up, and I can't remember, is it either Blofeld's or Bond's family coat of arms motto is The World Is Not Enough. That would later be the title of a movie. Let's see, On Her Majesty's Secret Service. I was really interested to see what George Lazenby was like. I found him to be a much more believable spy than Sean Connery. It wasn't as good an actor as Sean Connery, but he was much more kind of unassuming than Sean Connery was. But this to me felt like it was the first time you see him like properly going undercover, and like the whole thing of, you know, having your cover blown and all of that. I thought actually was really interesting. And oh my god, the ski stuff in that film was really good. What I found really interesting about On Her Majesty's Secret Service was what's her name now? I'm gonna have to check it. What's On Her Majesty's Secret Service? Diana Rigg. She's Teresa De Vincenzo. But what's she go by? Tracy? Is it? Let's see. Cast. Tracy. And then this time Blofeld is played by Telly Savalas. But yeah, I found it really, really interesting how this was now like 1969, and it's funny just seeing the Bond series evolve and change and ebb and flow over time, and how it reacts to different cultural moments in a lot of ways. And you can see with Tracy, there's an element of, you know, this was women's liberation, this was, you know, second wave feminism, this is 1969, so like right in the middle of that. But like I had to laugh because it's the kind of thing that, you know, if they were to do nowadays, like, oh, Bond's gone woke, you know, and it's like, well, you know, is that, oh, did she have to be an action star though? And it's like, what What's wrong with it? It's like, come on, she was an Avenger. Not Marvel Avengers, but the British Avengers. But yeah, so let's see. On Her Majesty's Secret Service. I think I preferred it better to Thunderball. So I think I can pop it up to that. And then of course Sean Connery was back for Diamonds Are Forever, which that's funny on the poster. Diamonds are forever, forever, forever. And of course the return of Shirley Bassey, who she do 3. Yeah, I think she's got the most Bond themes, because she later did was it She Do Moonraker? I think so. But yeah, and of course she did Goldfinger. Let's see, how's the comments going? They already did that with No Time to Die. People were bitching about a black woman becoming 007, even though it was a temporary thing while Bond was retired. Oh yeah, oh no, I know that, but like, you know, they kind of, it's just seeing how all the way back in 1969 they had a woman in an action lead role who was very much on a par to Bond in that way. And it's just when people pretend like it's all of a sudden a new thing, you know, in all of this, you know, woke culture nowadays. And it's like, guys, they were doing it back in the 60s. And like you see it too, how her character was very much then what Liz Hurley's character was based on in blah 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 in Austin Powers. Right, Diamonds Are Forever I found really interesting, because then once again we meet Blofeld, played by another actor. What's his name from Rocky Horror Picture Show, who we'd already seen in You Only Live Twice, playing a completely different character. So it was kind of confusing, because it was like, because I saw him and I was like, oh, this is Blofeld, because I vaguely remember him playing Blofeld, and then it was like, oh, that wasn't Blofeld, or it was like, is it Blofeld in disguise? Or so Charles Gray. There you go, Charles Gray. I would like, if I may, to take you on a journey. But yeah. I think if they were to go and do the whole thing again, they would do it in a better order, because I think back then they just didn't care as much about continuity. They're like, eh. And in fairness to them, didn't really matter, because people kept coming to the Bond movies. But with Sean Connery returning, you felt it. He did feel older. He felt he was not in his prime in that one. And also, what were the name of the two guys? It was it's aged very badly. Kidd, Wint and Kidd, Mr. Wint and Mr. Kidd. These two gay assassins whose only thing is being gay and having random facts about things. And it's like, cool. That one's aged like milk. But yeah, so let's see. Diamonds Are Forever. Definitely prefer to Thunderball. It has some really cool moments. But now, keep in mind, folks, as well, this is like not definitive, I think, either. You know, like I may change my mind at any moment on these. Let's see, I'm just trying to get this formatting to work. Yeah, there we go. So we got our numbers. Okay. So let's see. Block chip is great to cut off engagement with these grifters. Block chip? What is that? Tell me more. That would be great. I love when Shirley Bassey sang the Goldfinger song on the Muppet Show. Yeah, that was very cool. You have all these anti-woke grifters like the Critical Drinker. Ugh. Critical Drinker. What? Is Is he? Oh, he's the one with the Scottish accent who's like, you know, and another thing that really annoys me about everything. It's like, dude, just learn to enjoy life and stop complaining about things because life is too short. You know, it's like the things that you claim to love. What do you love about them? Because it seems that you do nothing but complain about them. It's like, and another thing about Star Wars. It's like, dude, I'm beginning to think you just don't like Star Wars. Full stop. Not anymore. I just don't think you like Star Wars. or whatever, you know? Yeah. I find Kate and Winch to be the most enjoyable part of Diamonds Are Forever. The acting of most other characters, including Connery's, was mediocre at best, and the script was definitely a step down. That's fair. That's fair. And Connery was rubbish in that film. he felt old, you know, and this was the first time that Bond felt old. Not the last time Bond feels old in this series. But yeah, I did enjoy the final ambush on the cruise ship. Was very with the bomb. That was very good. Dude's just pure grifter. He's farming outrage for money. Oh, so many of them are, and it's just pathetic. And it's just like at least, you know, at least folks like Red Letter Media who can veer on the. I don't think they're grifters. I think they're just a bit harsh sometimes, and sometimes leaning on the criticism because it gets the clicks. But a lot of their criticism is pretty good. Now, I don't watch a lot of them anymore, so this is based on the limited amount of Red Letter Media that I've watched. But yeah, other stuff like Critical Drinker and a lot of those types of ones. Ben Shapiro tearing down the Barbie movie. Well done, Ben. You go. How's backing all the Nazis for you? Is that going well for you, Ben? Yeah, have they eaten you yet? They will. Let's see. I know a lot of people don't like him, but Charles Gray as Blofeld is the best of all the actors to play him, in my opinion. Maybe I'm biased. Diamonds was the first Bond film I watched. Yeah, fair enough. I think, yeah, I definitely saw that one before I saw You Only Live Twice, because he, to me, is Blofeld as well in my mind. It's a shame that we didn't get to see one of them grow with the character. You know, and they all just had one-off goes at it. But anyway, Live and Let Die. Down. I mean, if it was for Bond theme, this would definitely be in the top 3, I would say. I actually had a lot of fun playing this song with a band. I play the trumpet, and so I got to do all of the, you know, da 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 da. But then the down 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 down. I had the easy job. The drummer had the hardest job because he had to go from da 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 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 don't but it take a matter to ya. So yeah, I was just happy to be there. So yeah, and another Live and Let Die was one that my dad did show me because he was all very proud of, because the man who designed the tarot cards for Live and Let Die was my dad's old art teacher in school, which he always told me, and I always thought was really cool. I think he went on to do. Hold on, let's go find this guy's name, because he'd do a whole pile of album covers for King Crimson as well. Let's see. Oh, this Diamonds Are Forever. Live and Let Die. And I think this was Jane Seymour's first movie. Casting, filming. Let's just see. Find Tarot. Oh, surrealist tarot deck. Salvador Dali was approached in 1973 to design a surrealist tarot deck for the film. However, his fee was too expensive for the film. At the end, the deck used in the film was Fergus Hall. Dali kept working on the deck and released it in 1984. Oh, that's cool. Fergus Hall is a Scottish artist whose work has been exhibited at, among other venues, the Portal Gallery in London. There you go. Hall is a native of Paisley in Scotland, which is where my father grew up. There you go, from Paisley. Hall's a painter, illustrator, and high school teacher. Yep, he taught my dad. He is the best known for the original tarot that he created for James Bond film Live and Let Die. His tarot deck, the James Bond Tarot of the Witches, has been issued in several incarnations with a guidebook by tarot aficionado and author Stuart Kaplan. Hall's paintings have been published on 2 LP sleeves of King Crimson, and 3 paintings were bought by Robert Fripp from the Portal Gallery during the mid-1970s. During this time, while working on the film Tarot, he was a teacher at St. Eldred's Junior High in Glenburn, Paisley. Well, that must be where my dad went. He later worked as an art teacher at Trinity High School, Renfrew, in St. Cuthbert's High School, Johnston. I'll have to ask my dad which ones was his. That's funny. In 1982, his children's book Groundsdale was published by Jonathan Cape and won a prize for Best Picture Book in Japan. Good for him. Good for him. Ah, that's cute. Yeah, no, my dad was always so proud of him. And I was like, he was my teacher. That's cool. Interesting with Live and Let Die too, kind of very much brings Bond into the 70s. And of course, it's Roger Moore's first film. And it's funny because he is just a completely different beast to Sean Connery. Like, I mean, George Lazenby was vaguely doing a bit of a... Also, George Lazenby could tear you apart. You know, in that scene at the start where he comes out of the water and it's just like, whoof. Like, in comparison to Sean Connery, who was just fine. No. George Lazenby, he could do it. He could do it. And interestingly, Roger Moore is older than Sean Connery. So, like, he takes up Bond after Connery, and he is older than him. So, like, the character, it's still the same character because, so, spoilers, what's-her-face dies, his wife dies at the end of On Her Majesty's Secret Service, and then at the start of Diamonds Are Forever, he's hunting Blofeld down for vengeance, and then in a later film, not Live and Let Die, but in a later Roger Moore film, he is at her grave, and then the marriage is vaguely mentioned in License to Kill as well, Timothy Dalton. So it is interesting how the movies kind of go all over the place with continuity, but it's quite interesting. Live and Let Die I really enjoy, and again I have just a wee bit of a bias for in nostalgia and just kind of reminding me. So Live and Let Die. Is it getting the top spot? Yeah, I'm gonna get. Nah. It's gonna get number 2. For now, it's. I know that these ones are not going to be the top. I kind of know in my head what's going to be the top, but yeah. So let's see. The Man with the Golden Gun. I had never seen this film. I had never seen The Man with the Golden Gun. I mean, I knew Golden Gun in and out from the GoldenEye game and one shot, and just one single shot. And in the best Bond book, I was always fascinated by how... Oh, perfect. Look at that. Open straight up. There he is. Scaramanga. But where's... Yeah. I was fascinated with how the gun came apart and was all of these little covert pieces. You know, one was a... let's see, is there... Let's explain it there. Yeah, the pistol is made up of a cigarette case, which is the handle, a lighter, the bullet chamber, fountain pen, the barrel, and a cuff link, which is the trigger. Very clever. And I was hoping that there would be a scene where he does just casually put it all together, and he does when he's kicking his business partner out of the deal, and he's just casually just sitting there at the desk. Yeah, tell me more. Oh, and I was like, that's brilliant. And of course, it's Christopher Lee. Christopher Lee's great. It was certainly very cheesy. It was probably one of the most cheesy ones to date. Let's see. Definitely above Thunderball. Put it there. Oh, The Spy Who Loved Me. Oh my god. I was so impressed with this one. This film partially blew me away because the song, the theme song for it is just excellent. There we go. Is that? What is it? No. Why is this one not getting a number? Anyway, that's fine. I'll not worry too much about it. But nobody does it better. It has been living rent free in my brain for the last couple of weeks now. What's the name of your one? She wanted You're So Vain. Probably think this song is about you. Where is she? What's her name? Yeah, and I definitely had not seen The Spy Who Loved Me. I had not seen it. Let's see. Where's filming? Music. Nobody does it better. It's composed by Marvin Hamlish. Written by Carol Bayer Sager. So good. I wasn't looking, but now that I found you. Oh, it's so good. Like heaven above me, the spy who loved me. It's really playful in a really fun way, and like you hear it used throughout the film. Because of course this one, Spy Who Loved Me, that's where he's working alongside the American agent, isn't it? Because this one is very, it's very much what The Spy Who Shagged Me is based on then. Barbara Bach. Oh no, she is it is a KGB agent. That's right. Oh, it's in another one where it's an American one. Yeah, this one's Triple X. Barbara Bach plays Anya Amasova, who's a Soviet KGB agent, Triple X. But yeah, I always loved when they had those like Bond counterparts, because they always worked as really good foils for Bond. But also it was really interesting just kind of seeing this now, seeing the different things that were going on at different points in time. Because like, do you think about, Dr. No came out in 1962. What month actually? 5th of October. Oh my god. So like that came out at the start of the month, in which later that month the Cuban Missile Crisis took place. On the ball with regards. Oh my god, what's gonna happen? It wasn't until like the last 2 weeks of that same October that Dr. No came out was the Cuban Missile Crisis. So there you go. So then from Russia with Love, Goldfinger stays a bit more apolitical in that way, but it was just interesting seeing those Cold War tensions being reflected in real life. But then you get to The Spy Who Loved Me, which is 1977, and this is during Détente, Détente gets a lot of mentions throughout the Bond series, actually, just where it was a much less cold part of the Cold War, a thawing of the freeze. But yeah. Alright, so that was The Spy Who Loved Me. I really enjoyed Spy Who Loved Me. It very, very quickly went high up on my list. So I'm gonna take, and it was nice too to see Roger Moore being Roger Moore in a really fun way. Yeah, you're getting up there. Yeah. From Russia with Love. Let's see. Now, Moonraker. There you go. That Moonraker was the bandwagon of all movies, jumping on the Star Wars bandwagon of 77. Moonraker comes out in 79 going, oh, we should do something in space. Yeah, all the kids are wanting space lasers and stuff. Yeah, you say there's a character called Agent Triple X, but I'm thinking Triple X with Vin Diesel. I absolutely thought that too. But I was watching, I was like, that's not Vin Diesel. Or was it Ice Cube also played him in one of the terrible sequels? I mean, the original was pretty terrible too. I remember it was just so cool when I was like 13. I just remember that wacky sheriff from Live and Let Die. And the man with the golden gun. That's right, he shows up. He was away in, is it Phuket they're in Man with the Golden Gun? Yeah, I thought that was really funny. I wasn't expecting him to... I thought it was just going to be a small cameo of going, there you go. He's a cop who was in... Where is this? Louisiana. In Live and Let Die, and then he's on holidays in Phuket and witnesses another James Bond chase, and he's like, what? But yeah, and he ends up fully involved in it. It was actually very funny. I really enjoyed it. Moonraker was fine. Moonraker, of course, Spy Who Loved Me also saw the introduction of Jaws, and Moonraker saw the return of Jaws. I think Moonraker's fine where it is there. Moonraker is fine. Yeah, it was fine. I did like the whole, it was a really cool kind of Bond villain and very kind of relevant too of, billionaire wants to perfect the human genome by picking out the most attractive people to, but yeah, that's fine. For Your Eyes Only is the first one that I'm actually going to skip straight to the bottom on. I hated this film. I thought it was crap. It was the first Bond film where I was just straight up going, I'm bored. And it just felt completely rehashed. It felt like, I mean, yeah, fair enough. They do repeat things like skiing and scuba diving and stuff like that, but it just felt like there was nothing new of this one, and then also it felt it felt really kind of creepy where there was one of the girls who was really young, and they were playing up how funny it was that she was so young. Now, fair play to them at the very least. Even James Bond does seem to draw the line, which is good. Where he's just like, okay, you're a bit young. But yeah, I really didn't like this one. So, For Your Eyes Only is for no eyes only, apparently. I'm going to chuck you right down here at the bottom. There we go. There's the bottom of the barrel. Sorry, no time to die. You're not the bottom of the barrel anymore by default. You have been dethroned For Your Eyes Only. Good theme. That's literally the only good thing it had going for it, is the theme. What's her name? Sheena Easton. Which my dad always liked to remind me that my auntie went to college with. So there you go. Let's see. I never saw it, but all I know is that was referenced in Arrested Development with For British Eyes Only. Mr. F. Insert Portal 2 Space Robot here. Yeah. And passing history because of you. I appreciate your work. Keep it up. You're welcome. Thank you very much. So, Octopussy. I was pleasantly surprised with Octopussy. Because another problem that I had with For Your Eyes Only was Roger Moore felt old. He felt really old. And it just felt, you know, with all the women too that he was with were just like so much younger than him, and it was just like, really, you're into this? Like I'm always, you know, yeah, it's weird. It's weird. Octopussy though was a pleasant surprise, partially because I did not know what Octopussy was about, and I mean the name. I mean, I think Ian Fleming hopefully made this name before it had become so euphemistic, but I don't know. I'm not sure. Possibly, probably not. But I didn't know that Octopussy was a character, you know, like Pussy Galore, I suppose. Oh, there you go. So it wasn't... The euphemism was there because he already made Pussy Galore. So there you go. Let's see. Yeah. No, I quite liked Octopussy because as well, you know, I think, you know, there was the danger of it being very silly, you know, because like his part, you know, where he ends up like dressing up as a clown and the whole train sequence through the clown. It's funny because apparently I think Steven Spielberg really wanted to direct a James Bond movie, and he wasn't able to, or I think they only wanted like British directors or something, and so that's where George Lucas went to him and says, "Hey, I got Indiana Jones. You want to direct that?" But it's funny how there is a chase on a circus train at the start of the Last Crusade as well. Let's see, what year was Octopussy? Because that might have been after. Octopussy was 83, and because what do you call it? Last Crusade I think was 89, or it was late 80s anyway. I think it was 89. The same year I was born. Octopussy, yeah, definitely higher than Moonraker. Let's see. Check it up. Yeah, actually, I think I preferred it to Man with the Golden Gun. Preferred Man with the Golden Gun. Okay. View to a Kill. Like absolute redemption with what's his name, Roger Moore, because I was really really worried with For Your Eyes Only, because I was like, there's still a couple of Roger Moore ones left, and now I already very much knew the A View to a Kill theme song, Duran Duran, absolute banger. I've been listening to that one for years, but I'd never actually seen the film. And I was not pleasantly surprised, because I did know that Christopher Walken was the villain, but it was just something else to actually see Christopher Walken as a villain. And I mean, the whole thing of like, he's psychotic. And so, like, there's just like scenes of him like just like shooting masses of people, and he's like, ha ha ha. It's so cartoonish. Grace Jones was really good in it too. Actually, I really liked what they did with her character and her character arc at the end of, you know, the kind of, I mean, it is cliched, but like the woman scorned, and so then she gets her revenge on Zorn, which I thought was really cool. No, I really liked A View to a Kill. A View to a Kill. I do love too where they they always manage to work the movie title into the film. So yeah, no, View to a Kill definitely up higher on my list. But that was a big problem with Bond though, is because it was feeling so dated. Like For Your Eyes Only was 1981, and Octopussy was 83, and View to a Kill was 85. Like For Your Eyes Only and Octopussy felt like movies from the 70s. You know, they felt very old hat. They felt very outdated even then. You know, it's like, and at that point, you had the Indiana Joneses coming out. You had Star Wars and like the whole friggin' blockbuster 80s blockbuster revolution. And so it was funny, like just seeing For Your Eyes Only and Octopussy. A View to a Kill pushed it forward a wee bit, but it still felt a bit dated. And I think it was partially due to Roger Moore, who was just old, you know, and just I don't think it worked anymore for him for the series. So The Living Daylights with Timothy Dalton. What's really funny about The Living Daylights is when I initially heard the theme song of it, I hated it. I thought it was so bad. I was like, oh, so bad. It's by Aha, as in Take On Me. One Hit Wonder? No, they're not, because they did a Bond song. Although they often talk about that with the Bond curse. You know, somebody does a Bond theme and then their career tanks afterwards. Yeah, no, the song has really grown on me. What really put me off was it opens with this absolutely so cheesy synth bass that sounds like it's from a Sega Mega Drive game. You know, just but no, I've just been singing it constantly now, but like just making up my own words to it. And like making just a parody, you know, hold tight, we're holding tight now, we're holding tight, hold tight now. It was funnier when I sang it to myself. So. The film itself, the Timothy Dalton, was very refreshing. I really enjoyed him. Much more serious and intense than Roger Moore, who just didn't take anything seriously. So I think it was refreshing to see Bond take things seriously again. It's funny because I think I remember growing up hearing, because I hadn't seen the Timothy Dalton films, but the major criticism was hearing that it's just too gritty, it's too, you know, too intense. And then it was funny because that was exactly what Daniel Craig films were being praised for. So it was kind of like, you know, that Marty McFly, you know, you guys aren't ready for that, but your kids are gonna love it. But yeah, I really liked The Living Daylights. It was a very, very good film. I really liked the relationship between him and the lady in that, the cello player. That's being very generous. Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Well done, Timothy. You made it to number 4. Because you're not getting any higher than that, because License to Kill is not as good. License to Kill is a bizarre film in that License to Kill is an 80s action movie with James Bond in it, if that makes sense. Like, it's between the cast of characters, even the storyline of what's his name, Felix Leiter. Does he get killed or does he survive? I know the wife gets killed, but anyway, it's a vengeance thing where Bond is going off on his own accord to avenge this attack on Felix Leiter and his recently wedded wife. But like the entire thing, it just feels so grounded, like almost too grounded. Now, don't get me wrong, there is a scene where he, your man, feeds him to feeds one of the guys to sharks. So like on point with your Bond villain. Definitely, probably the goriest Bond film to date, I would think. Like it was certainly grittier in that way, but yeah, like even just down to the cast of characters, like some of the different performers in it, you've seen in other big '80s movies, you know, like Die Hard, and like this film slots into the Die Hards and the Beverly Hills Cops and 48 Hours and all of those, and it was just so weird because it was just like this one, it just so happens to be starring James Bond. It was a bit like with what they did with Die Hard with a Vengeance, which was originally written as a Sylvester Stallone movie, but he turned it down, and so one of the screenwriters was like, "What if we call the main character John McClane? We have Die Hard 3 right here." And the bad guy, Simon Says, can be is the brother of Hans Gruber. Oh my God, Die Hard with a Vengeance. And License to Kill very much felt like that, where it was just like this could have been anybody, and it just so happened to be James Bond. But it worked. Don't get me wrong, I did enjoy License to Kill, but it was weird. It didn't feel like a Bond film in that way. And again, I know I'm literally doing what I was saying was weird, because this is literally what the Daniel Craig movies would go on to do at different times. But right, let's see. Let's take License to Kill. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Okay, guys. Alright, hold on. Let's just have a look through. Imagine if Octopussy was a half octopus, half cat. That's disturbing. Well, actually, no. What was disturbing was that Octopussy was her dad's nickname for her. Undeniably, the best parts of all these films are the Q Branch scenes with Desmond Llewellyn. Pay attention, 007. Absolutely. He was brilliant. And I loved that. Sorry, that is something actually that I loved. Was that License to Kill? Where he got it was one of the Timothy Dalton films. He got a much bigger part to play in the climax of one of them. And I was delighted for him, because I was like, he's getting a wee part here. This is good. Right. GoldenEye. I mean, biased, sure, but we're literally listening to the GoldenEye N64 soundtrack right now. GoldenEye has, for a very long time, been my favorite Bond movie. We will see if it gets pipped at the top. I love GoldenEye for so many different reasons. Partially down to the video game. The video game just completely skews the scales for me, because I played that game so much that I just have such an affinity for GoldenEye. But what GoldenEye, what helps with that is that GoldenEye is a damn good film, and Pierce Brosnan makes a brilliant entrance as Bond. I think he, and I'm not just saying this because he's an Irishman, but I think he struck the balance between Roger Moore and Timothy Dalton. You know, he was able to come up with the sarky quips and still be sarcastic, whereas Timothy Dalton kind of, the quips were in the script, but he would deliver them straight, and it just kind of it lessened the blow. Whereas Pierce Brosnan was able to give a wee bit of sarcasm, but also he was able to get gritty when he needed to, and he was able to get serious when he needed to. I could never take Roger Moore seriously. I couldn't ever take him seriously. He was fun at times. You know, when the film was fun, he was good, but it was always a nudge and a wink with Roger Moore. But Pierce Brosnan in this film, fantastic. And now again, I'm also biased because I know this film so much better than the others. Some of these films I've only seen them once. I've seen GoldenEye multiple times. The train, or not the train chase, the tank chase through St. Petersburg is just quality. And one of the best Bond villains with Alec Trevelyan, 006, Sean Bean, for England, James. Did anybody spot my Trevelyan reference in my famine video where I had Charles J. Trevelyan, who was in charge of distributing all of the corn throughout starving Ireland during the potato famine of the 1840s? And it was his perspective that, well, I mean, you know, God meant for this to happen, so who are we to get in the way of God's judgment? Maybe we should let them starve. But yeah, he was horrendous. But I have a wee moment where just for a split second you see in a speech bubble where he says, "For England, James." And I was like, Trevelyan. I'm a child. But yeah, one other massive thing that GoldenEye does, it introduces Judi Dench as M, which she's the best M. She really is. The guy, I don't know who played him during the earlier era. He was fine. The lady who played Moneypenny, she was excellent. She's a Canadian actress. I really enjoyed her, and as she got older throughout the series, like I'm really impressed and pleased that they held on to her for as long as they did. You know, in that they allowed her to get older and they allowed that, you know, quippy banter to. Now again, you know, one could be like, sexual harassment in the workplace. Yes, the way the film plays it is very much mutual, which I did appreciate in that way, and it was always kind of playful back and forth with them. But no, GoldenEye saw Judi Dench show up as M, but it also broached the whole question of what is Bond beyond the Cold War, because Bond was all about the Cold War. The Cold War was all about spies and espionage. And what does this series look like beyond the Cold War? And it did a brilliant job of kind of putting out that mission statement and going, you know, where she calls him out. She says, you know, I don't like you. I think you're a misogynistic dinosaur, a relic of the Cold War. But they bring it on and do such a brilliant job. I love GoldenEye. Tomorrow Never Dies is a very interesting film in that I think out of so many of the Bond villains and what their plot is, I mean, Tomorrow Never Dies, I think, is one of the most prescient of all of the films. So it's the bad guy is basically Rupert Murdoch, this media mogul who controls everything and brings it to the point where I will make the news happen before it happens, so I get first dibs on covering it, and I will shape the world through the media. Oh boy, was it relevant. It was like, what, 1999, I think? It wasn't even the millennium yet. Yeah, The World Is Not Enough was 99. That was World Is Not Enough. Tomorrow Never Dies was 97. And then The World Was Not Enough was 99. It's 1997. And with, I think, coming off of GoldenEye, and it was funny actually too, because bless my little heart, watching GoldenEye for the first time, and being invested in Bond's relationship with Natalia, and then in the next movie it was like Natalia's nowhere to be seen, and it's just like, where did she go? It's like, oh John, you know Bond goes through them, right? You know, yeah, so it's just like, but Natalia Fyodorovna Semyonova was a great character. I really liked her actually; she was great. But yeah, now occasionally one or two Bond ladies would return, particularly in the last one there, for other reasons. But let's see. Tomorrow Never Dies. Brilliant car chase in Tomorrow Never Dies as well, with the remote control car, with the mobile phone, which was really cool. Yeah, sure. I can go there. Yeah, I can go there. World is not enough. That can... Yeah. It's definitely going down on my list. Partially... Oh, what's her name? Oh, Denise. Is Denise Richards? Is that the right name? Yeah, Denise Richards. No harm to her. She does not play a convincing nuclear physicist. Let me see now. Yeah, it's not as like I didn't hate it, and there are going to be other films to go in here, but The World Is Not Enough is, yeah, it was weak. It had its moments, but and then, oh god, Die Another Day. So Die Another Day is going right down here. Is it beaten For Your Eyes Only? No, it's not, because at least Die Another Day is watchable. At least Die Another Day had some really fun. Oh, that was another thing that For Your Eyes Only did, which, well, let me just double check that it was For Your Eyes Only, where they friggin' killed off Blofeld in the opening friggin' thing, and it was so badly done. Was it For Your Eyes Only? For Your Eyes Only. Plot. Was it that one? Which one? Let's see. Death of Blofeld. Yeah, it was the opening of For Your Eyes Only, where Blofeld, we don't even see his face. He's just this cackling voice, where he's on a wheelchair remote controlling Bond's helicopter, but then Bond gets control of it back and then picks up the wheelchair and drops him down a chimney. And it's like, wow. It was just so cartoonish and silly. It's like, dude, it's a Bond movie. But it's just like, I would have preferred a little bit more weight to Blofeld rather than just being bumped off unceremoniously in the opening of a film that has nothing to do with him. Let's see. Die Another Day has the exact same aesthetic as Austin Powers in Goldmember, except the latter was intentionally funny. They even came out the same year. Pretty much, Pierce Brosnan is Bond. He looks the part, sounds the part, and has some of the best films. Video games he's in as well are some of the best. Bond video games out there. Everything or Nothing. Oh yeah, I remember that one. Oh, do I? No. Do you know what? The World Is Not Enough is staying higher just because the boat chase at the start through London is fantastic, and there are a couple of great moments like that. Die Another Day certainly does have some excellent bits, like the sword fight is just brilliant. Die Another Day does also have the moniker of having the worst Bond theme. Oh my god, Madonna, Die Another Day. I'm gonna get up, I'm going to not die, or whatever it is. Get the day, another day. Get the day, another day. It's so bad. Like, so much worse than the worst of any of the other songs. Like, most of the other songs are very much listenable. Even the bad ones. Even the boring ones. But Die Another Day is just... It's also so dated. It is so 2000s. Early 2000s. Like, what year was that one again? Die Another Day, 2002. My god. And look at that poster there. Completely gives away the twist. And actually, I was pleased that I had kind of forgotten so much about this, where Jinx is actually because the jury's out as to whether or not Jinx is good or bad. And then you've got, what's her name? What do you call her? Gone Girl. I didn't even realize she was in this. Rosamund Pike. I didn't realize she was in this. This was much earlier in her career. Yeah, Madonna sings while Bond gets tortured in North Korea. I think this was the first Bond opening sequence that full on progresses the plot. That's possibly the one saving grace to it. It was like the one that wasn't entirely abstract. It actually showed the passage of time. It actually served that thing. I mean, so too did GoldenEye, but that was a much more abstract thing, whereas Die Another Day literally was showing Bond. Also, first time seeing Bond all scraggly and beardy and stuff, off the top of my head. But yeah, it was very cheesy, but not in a good way. And the tidal wave surfing stuff was... There was too much CGI in that film as well, that I think just went. Although, that did see... Was it Mr. Kill? Which I was delighted with. It was played by Lawrence Macquarie, who played multiple characters in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. He played Lurtz, the dude who kills Boromir, and he also played Gothmog, the dude who allegedly was based on Harvey Weinstein, and he also played the Witch King as well. So within that, there are multiple Bond villains who are also in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Because of course, so you got Mr. Kill, who's Lawrence Macquarie, and then of course you had Boromir, who was Sean Bean, who was Alec Trevelyan, and then you had Christopher Lee, who was Scaramanga, who was Saruman, and what was there others? I always remember I was like, ooh, they're all Bond villains. Is Jonathan Pryce? No, he's not in any of the... I'm trying to think, because I always had that thought in the early 2000s. I'm just trying to think since. Is there any newer ones? I might think. Right, so that's Die Another Day. So For Your Eyes Only, still on the bottom. Still on the bottom. There's a couple of stray numbers here. We can get rid of them. There we go. Oh, still some stray numbers somewhere else. We'll survive. Big grand. Right, so that was Die Another Day. Now, Jonathan Pryce was Elliot Carver. I know. I was thinking though, was Jonathan Pryce in any of the Middle Earth movies? That's what I was trying to think. Just whether any overlap, because it was like where Bond and Middle Earth overlapped. I'm sure there's somebody else. Right. So Casino Royale, we are into the Daniel Craig era. So does Daniel Craig have more movies than Pierce Brosnan? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pierce Brosnan only had 4. There you go. The more you know. So Casino Royale going all the way up. All the way up. All the way up. Ooh, is it going to pit the post? No, my own personal bias. But. It is it's so good. What I love about it is, so it seems to be the first one where it is actually rebooting. Whereas like there is always a sense, even up through Pierce Brosnan, that this is the same Bond, even though the whole question of age just doesn't factor into it. But this is the first one where it's like full on, okay, we're hitting the reset button. But to confuse matters, M is still played by Judi Dench, so you're like, ah! But it's such a good film, such a great reset button, and also a Bond for the Jason Bourne era, which this film was very much in conversation with the Bourne Identity movies of that time, and that gritty, much more impactful fighting, close quarters, all of that stuff. You know, it was so much less bombastic, and yeah, and it was so good. And again, the exact same thing that Casino Royale was praised for, the Timothy Dalton movies were panned for, but such as different tastes. Casino Royale was really good. The Torture was something else. Ouch. Also, hilariously, Casino Royale was my first time ever seeing Mads Mikkelsen. And Mads Mikkelsen looks vaguely like one of my uncles. And anytime I see Mads Mikkelsen, I'm like, oh, there's Uncle Sean. He has that same smile. Yeah, so that was my first time seeing him. I was like, did you see Uncle Sean's in a James Bond movie? Oh dear. Anyway, Quantum of Solace. All the way to the bottom. All the way to the bottom. From such a high to such a low. Quantum of Solace, its biggest sin is being the most boring James Bond movie ever made. It's just like literally the only interesting thing it does is the opening scene where it's like there's loose introduction to Spectre, but they don't call it Spectre, but it's just this thing of we have people everywhere, and then one of the dudes shoots other people, but it's just so, and it's like they just took it a step too far by making it too grounded and too gritty and too so much so that there was just no joy in it. There was no fun in it at all. And it was just it's just so it's crap. It's just crap. Another Way to Die is a good song from it. That's about the only thing going for it. It looks really cool. Like there are some shots in it that are really cool, but it's just blah, blah, blah. Quantum of Solace. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. Casino Royale was really good. The Torture was something else. Yeah. Quantum of Solace of a bloody nothing burger Me and my brother saw Casino Royale and it before Skyfall. I can't remember what happened. Even the title is draining. Yeah. Well, the Quantum of Solace was, I think it was a short story written by Ian Fleming that they were like just absolutely just trying to. I find the naming of Bond films quite funny. Like, you know, once they go beyond the Ian Fleming novels, where they're just like, right, how can we, like, something with die and something to do with time or day, or like something related to time in some way. So a time to die or time to kill. No, that's a very different, much more dramatically effective movie. But yeah, yeah, Quantum of Solace, bottom of the list, bottom of the toilet. The villains in Quantum of Solace were really terrible. Yeah, like the worst Bond villain, like just this French Jules Holland, who is like, ha, yeah, like I'm boring and that's my superpower. Like he's so boring. Like, you know, it's so diabolical because I'm hoarding all of the water, and it's like, sure, if you want to like maybe get looking for the mundanity of evil, but it's like it's James Bond. Come on, you know, and it's a fine balancing act. It's a fine balancing act, because tone-wise, Casino Royale is not a million miles off Quantum of Solace, but it just shows you how fine that line is. That you go in one way and it's just this brilliant sweet spot, and if you miss it, it is trash. I heard the tie-in game is mostly a retelling Casino Royale, which I imagine is the only positive aspect. There you go. That's a bit like how the Two Towers EA video game on the PlayStation was. The first couple of levels were just Fellowship of the Ring. Right, so now, Skyfall. I mean, Skyfall, first off, has probably one of the best theme songs, but on top of that, it's going all the way up. All the way up. Oh, where is Skyfall going? Is it beating Casino Royale? I don't think it's topping GoldenEye. It's really funny because Casino Royale is very much a kind of a prequel origin-y story thing, and yet so is Skyfall. It's just this bizarre, you're halfway through going, this is another origin story. We're doing it again, and yet we're 3 films into this and we're doing an origin story, but it works so well. One thing I really loved about Skyfall, well, because that was something that you see in Die Another Day, because it was like it was a big anniversary movie. Was it like the 40 years or 50, however many years it was a Bond, 40 years at that point or something. But like there's a lot of nods and winks to the whole series. Like there's a bit where he's reading the Birds of the West Indies, which is where Ian Fleming got the name James Bond. He was an ornithologist who wrote, and he was like, oh, James Bond, that's a really boring name. That would be a great name for a spy. But then when he goes to Q Branch, which at that point was the very short-lasting John Cleese as the character, all surrounded was all of the different gadgets from the entire series, which was very cool. I did appreciate that. But with Skyfall, what I really liked was one of the gadgets that he's given is the Walther PPK, because that is the first gadget that Bond is given in the entire series. In Doctor No, this was because Doctor No is the only one without Q branch. I think it's M that actually gives it to him. But it's like, oh, by the way, 007, this is for you. Walther PPK. It is the first gadget. The Walther PPK is the first Bond gadget in that way. So it was a really nice little nod. And then, of course, you've got the Aston Martin and all of that too. And the nods to the lore of Skyfall and that he grew up in Scotland, which was a nice wee nod to Sean Connery. And yeah, it was cool. The song was great, but I love the instrumental version because it sounded like a cool car commercial, and I had the same vibe as Final Fantasy Versus 13 before it became Final Fantasy 15. My brain is weird. Yes, it is, and I love it. All of our brains are weird in our own ways. I love it when brains are just like, I make all of these weird connections, and it makes perfect sense to me and to nobody else, but that's fine. I love it. Well, you keep being you, Stephen. I love it. The background to Skyfall is really patriotic. Its release in 2012 tied in with the Olympics in London. As a side note, the Olympic spectacle of Bond jumping out the helicopter was amazing. That's right. And he had a scene with Queen Elizabeth II. The opening of the 2012 London Olympics is still spectacular. I've gone back and watched it, particularly the whole opening section of going from kind of English countryside into the Industrial Revolution and the forging of the rings of power. And it was funny because when that happened, a whole pile of folks over at the OneRing.net were like, "There's a lot of Tolkien imagery here. It's like, is he referencing Tolkien?" I was like, "No, they're just both referencing the same thing." You know, it's like Tolkien was also referencing the loss of the English countryside and the industrialization. So it's like, it's no coincidence that the imagery is the same, because, you know, they're both drawn upon the same source of the changing countryside of England. But yeah, so Skyfall, I think, comfortably sits at 3. I think they'll be back and forth between Skyfall and Casino Royale, I think. But yeah, it's funny actually because Vespa in this seems very much to be the Tracy of that series, of, you know, the one that died, the one that was killed, and he's constantly kind of going back to her. So that was an Eva Green was great in that too. I think that was my first time seeing her. Let's see, can we bring this back? Huh. It's just been weird. Also, I was totally getting more references within GoldenEye, where you've got the Egyptian level, because I'm just recognizing that, just the music now. Because there is a whole sequence. Was that in Moonraker? It was in one of them anyway, but yeah, there was a whole bit. Yeah, I think it was Moonraker, where there's a whole Egyptian sequence and Jaws was there. That I was like, oh yeah, that vaguely, they do like these kind of remix bonus levels. I think the Paddington one of the Jubilee in 2022 was better personally. Maybe you should have shown up as Q. Thank you for everything. I mean, I'm Irish, so my my enjoyment of the monarchy only goes so far. I enjoyed the spectacle, but yeah, but it was cool to see, you know, Her Majesty of On Her Majesty's Secret Service actually being there alongside James Bond. It's mad that she was queen throughout the entirety of the James Bond series. You know? Like, this'll be the first one now to come out where she was not the queen. Whatever the next one will be on His Majesty's Secret Service. They'd be like, oh, why do they have to do a gender swap? It's like, this is the king now, my god. It's woke. Right, Spectre. Spectre, you disappointing thing, you. Spectre was fine. What's wrong with Spectre? I think where Skyfall played about with the lore a little bit, actually no, I'll tell you exactly where. Spectre jumped the shark by having Bond and Blofeld being like half-step sibling brothery things. I don't know if that's a thing in the book or not. I don't think it is. But it was just very far-fetched. I mean, and again, you're like, John, you're talking James Bond, you're talking space lasers, you're talking all sorts of mad stuff, and this is far-fetched? Yes, it is, actually. I didn't think it was needed. You know, I don't think you needed that personal connection, particularly given that they didn't bother doing any kind of a flashback to actually have us care about that connection, you know? So Spectre, let's see. Spectre, better than Moonraker. Ooh. Not as good as Thunderball. There you go. Spectre, you're staying there. And last but by no means least, No Time to Die. I really like this film, and I got watching it just the second time there, and it actually surprised me as to how good it still was. I remember, but Batista was a henchman. That's right. I never saw Spectre. I see the poster and thought the skull face in the background was the titular villain. Without knowing the legal stuff around the names Spectre and Blofeld. There was legal stuff around the names Spectre and Blofeld? Huh. I kind of felt like the skull mask was almost like a slight nod to like Baron Samedi in some ways. Turns out he did have time to die. Yeah, he did. I thought that No Time to Die was really good. I think James Bond works best when it is independent of all of its other films, but this is a very solid follow-up to Spectre. Much better film than Spectre. What I also loved was how they absolutely played on people's knowledge of the Bond series in that opening scene by having them drive along the Riviera coast and playing the theme from On Her Majesty's Secret Service. And it's just like, anybody who knew their Bond was just like, oh God, she's going to die. They're going to shoot her at the side of the road. No! But they didn't. And it was a very, very nice misdirect. There was a lot of really good misdirects in this film using that. You know, they're like, oh, you think you knew what was going to happen, but you didn't. But yeah, in this one, spoilers, Bond gets a kid. Old Blue Eyes, young Blue Eyes. And he dies. He dies in it. Spoilers again. Oh well. Rights to Spectre as an organization were held by a separate entity who wouldn't give Eon permission to use them until he died. Hence, it appeared in Never Say Never Again, but none until Spectre. I didn't know that. That explosion at the start made me jump. Oh yeah, that was a good jump. Austin Powers did it first. Austin and Dr. Evil being brothers. Oh my God, I forgot about that. I remember now, that's what made me so annoyed, actually. Now, when I first saw that film, I was like, they did that in Austin Powers. The parody. I remember that now. Oh my god. I haven't seen Goldmember in a very long while. I loved how they actually used old footage from a Michael Caine movie to in that, which was quite funny. The From Russia with Love game renamed Spectre to Octopus. Oh, that's interesting. I mean, that's a very good. That's a good substitute, but I didn't realize that. That's really interesting. So when did they lose the rights to use Spectre? If there's two things I can't stand, it's people intolerant of other cultures and the Dutch. Yeah. If there's two things that I can't stand, it's people intolerant of other cultures and the Dutch. John, now you've ranked the films, how would you rank the actors? Well, hold on. No Time to Die has not been ranked yet. We have to place it. Definitely above Spectre. No Time to Die. Great villain, Jerry, like Rami Malek. Better than Diamonds Are Forever. Whoa. Oh. Ooh. Ooh. I wasn't even expecting it to be that high, but there you go. I really liked it. I liked just how heartfelt and sincere it was. I did actually find it hilarious though how kind of similar in the way of how in Spectre they did what the parody did, but how in Metal Gear Solid Metal Gear Solid was heavily influenced by James Bond, particularly the third one, because they'd bring it back to the 60s. But in No Time to Die, they have Fox Die. Nanomachines that are specifically lined to, that are specifically coded to someone's DNA, and they can then kill them, appearing to be a virus or whatever. It's Fox Die. And so so Bond is now I'm not accusing them of stealing it from, but like that concept was very, very much specifically done by Metal Gear Solid of nanobots with now correct me if I'm wrong, if it's been done elsewhere in other science fiction, that's fair. But I just thought it was funny how much Bond had influenced Metal Gear Solid, and now seemingly something has spilled its way back into Bond. So there you go. Would you consider ranking Metal Gear? Speak of the devil, Pokemon or Star Wars next? Pokemon, I don't know where I'd start or where I'd end with. Like, are we talking like actual Pokemon? Because I could take like Gen 1 and just and do them all. I don't know, possibly. Star Wars, definitely an option to do, because I could talk a lot about Star Wars as well. Rights to Spectre came into dispute when McClory sued Fleming for rights to Thunderball. In '63, a settlement awarded McClory rights to Thunderball. I love Metal Gear Solid having multiple henchmen in the form of anime terrorists. You imagine if Bond had to fight a masochistic cyborg ninja and a quadruple agent who is Russian and loves cowboys. Ow! There was an added requirement that McClory couldn't remake the film for 10 years, hence Never Say Never Again in 1983. That's some drama right there. That's cool. Thank you so much for telling me. That's class. So let's see then. Now that we have all of these ranked, let's go in from the bottom. 26. Let's see. Let's just fix the numbers. There we go. Why is that still 26? There's a double number somewhere. Oh 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. That's weird. Anyway, so I'm surprised when I learned Never Say Never Again I had Steven Seagal was a stunt coordinator. Oh, there you go. So 25, Quantum of Solace. Boring. 24, For Your Eyes Only. We've seen it before, and Roger Moore felt old in it, which is ironic because he went on to do 2 other very good Bond films, but this one he felt tired in. Die Another Day. It just jumped the entire shark pool. It was a step too far for even Bond, I thought, and that's saying a lot. World Is Not Enough. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It has some cool moments. Moonraker, Bond in space, and it's funny because it's always overly simplified at Bond in space, but like there's a whole 2/3 of a film before it, but it's like, oh yeah, it always just comes back to Bond in space. Spectre, yeah, good, but disappointing. In no, like what's his name was very good in it. Austrian guy. I really like him. What's his name? Christoph Waltz. His class. He was very good in it, but just and like I liked the torture sequence, and the drilling wee bits and like removing different senses and stuff. That was cool. But yeah, it just Thunderball. Yeah, it was good, but it's just kind of worked its way down. Clearly the weakest of. It's funny because would I deem that? So I don't think it's the weakest of the Connery films, but in my own personal thing, that's just where it has seemingly landed. There you go. License to Kill. Yeah, an American action movie starring James Bond. This is what it is. It surfed the sun-powered satellite laser. Yeah. Man with the Golden Gun. Good fun. Very camp, but Octopussy. Silly, but it had some really good action sequences in it. I think I remember. Tomorrow Never Dies. I think Tomorrow Never Dies is. I mean, it does have the car chase is excellent. It's a lot of fun, with all the car gadgets and stuff. But I think it's prescience to the plot of what the Bond villain plans to do. Keeps it high, because it's funny because with Man with the Golden Gun, it's Scaramanga is building solar panels, and they're like, "Wow, really? He's getting into solar energy," and it's like, "Oh, we're making this guy the bad guy." Oh, because he's taking the solar energy and turning it into a super laser. It's like, was this the big oil even back in the 70s vilifying the Bond? Diamonds Are Forever. I've been very generous to you, Diamonds Are Forever. You're lucky to be there. Yeah, I think there's enough good in it to outweigh the bad. And also, I think I'm slightly biased in that it was one of the first Bonds that I saw. But again, Sean Connery feels old in that one. I kind of feel bad that it has beaten Thunderball, but the middle could do with a lot of kind of tidying up, I would say. Let's see. James Bond. Honor Majesty's Secret Service. Yep. Yeah, that works. George Lazenby. Fair play to him. He did his best. The music, the main theme, the ba 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 ba. Those chords are just magic. Ba 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 ba. Excellent. And again, I loved all of those little nods that No Time to Die gave to that, and how they flipped it on its head, where she then was there with the kid at the end of the movie, driving along the Riviera, going, "We have all the time in the world." I was like, oh, oh. Thank you so much for super chats, V-Man. I like Golden Eye because it was filmed in Arecibo, PR. Where's that? Arecibo. Where is that? Did I just butcher that in Arecibo? Oh, Puerto Rico. Yeah, there you go. Oh, did that double for the bits in Cuba, I assume? That's cool. Well, thank you so much for the super chats. VMan29397. Interesting note for The Man with the Golden Gun. When it was shot, the UK was going through the strike crisis of 74, the energy shortage, 3-day week, strikes by the miners, OPEC, oil crisis, etc. Ho ho ho! Very relevant then. Very good. Thanks for that wee tidbit. That makes a lot of sense. Dr. No. To be honest, I think Dr. No is so high up here on the basic generosity of it being the first one. Yeah, and also Ursula Andress is adorable in this film. But yeah, I think that's why I've been so generous to Dr. No. But yeah, From Russia with Love, much better film. I love the whole kind of Red Butler. Is it Red Butler? No, Red Butler's friggin' Gone with the Wind. What's Red something. Yeah, Thunderball, Goldfinger. Red Grant, yeah, Red. I know I said Red Butler earlier on. There's going to be a whole pile of comments going, Red Butler's. In fairness, actually, I'll even be impressed if you're cultured enough to recognize that Red Butler has Gone with the Wind. Red Grant, there we go, played by Robert Shaw, of course. Is a really, really good scene, really, really good showdown. And yeah, Rosa Klebb, that's what it is. And how she is Joanne from... she is basically one from Austin Powers, who she's riffing on. You know, open the doors! I thought it was very funny. Let's see. There's a great documentary from 2012 about Bond and the rights of Spectre called Everything or Nothing. Highly recommend. There you go. Isn't there a video game also called Everything or Nothing? I think so. Anyway, yeah, so From Russia with Love, really good. And then A View to a Kill, 80s cheese, and one of Roger Moore doing really well in that one. Also his last one, and it was a very nice send off to him. I'm glad that they finished on a high, not an all-time high. That was a different film. Which one was that? All-time high. Oh, that was Octopussy. Then Spy Who Loved Me. Ugh, that was a lot of fun. That film, I really, really liked that film. Living Daylights. Oh, Living Daylights. You Only Live Twice. Do you know what? I think I am. I think that I'm basing You Only Live Twice so high up just partially due to the quintessential volcano base James Bond, the James Bondiness of it. It's so James Bondy, you know. The video game Everything or Nothing is the Bond video game. It's essentially canon. Huh, there you go. And Live and Let Die. It's there. It's great. It's fun. And that was another thing actually I loved in No Time to Die, was how it brought back the Bond villain with an island fortress, you know, because that was something that maybe having grounded Bond so much that a lot of the more bombastic Bond tropes didn't work as well, and yet they very comfortably brought in the Bond villain with a secret island fortress trope into it. So well done, No Time to Die, in doing that. That was really good too. Goldfinger, yeah, it's excellent. It's problematic, it is, and most of these are problematic in many, many ways. This is not an endorsement of all of this, but yeah, Skyfall is excellent. It's just such a wonderful It's funny. It's a reboot, but like 3 movies into Daniel Craig. And Casino Royale was a reboot, and yet Skyfall is even more of a reboot. Casino Royale is the reboot. Skyfall is the actual origin story, I think. But yeah, Casino Royale was, and again, I think I have Casino Royale a bit biased. Oh, actually, fun fact about The World Is Not Enough. That was the first one that I saw in the cinema, I think. Did I see I don't think I saw Tomorrow Never Dies in the cinema. No, World Is Not Enough was the first Bond film that I saw in the cinema. So, nostalgia doesn't get you everywhere because it's very low down in my rankings. So, there's something. But Casino Royale was... it came out the year I started college. And I'm pretty sure I took my girlfriend at the time on a date to Casino Royale. Yeah. Oh, we have another super chat from V-Man. Thank you so much. No, the climax of GoldenEye was filmed in Arecibo Observatory. Oh, cool. Where Pierce Brosnan fights Sean Bean and drops him to his doom. It was destroyed by Maria. For England, James. Oh, Maria, Storm Maria, Hurricane Maria. Horrendous. Skyfall and Die Another Day were the only ones I saw in the cinema. I think I've seen... No, actually, I didn't see Die Another Day because I'd heard just how bad it was. But I've seen all the Daniel Craigs in the cinema, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, so it's just The World Is Not Enough and all the Daniel Craig films are all the ones that I've seen in the cinema. There you go. But yeah, and then of course GoldenEye right at the top. It's the N64 game that clinched it. It really is. But on top of that, it's an excellent film. It's a brilliant kind of Bond for a new era, even though it's like nearly 30. It is 30. GoldenEye's 30 years old this year. But yeah, it was a Bond for a new era at the time, 30 years ago. But yeah. So there he's got. Now, somebody did ask, would I do a ranking of the actors? I mean, let's have a look here. If you were to rank it based on what's going on here, I mean, Pierce Brosnan, probably number 1. Again, almost solely for GoldenEye because he's great. Daniel Craig, probably up there. And then I enjoyed what Timothy Dalton was going for. I really enjoyed what Timothy Dalton was going for. And then probably Sean Connery. Just because he's absolute classic Bond. And then Roger Moore. And no harm to George Lazenby. I just don't think he had enough time and space to... Also, I don't think he's much of an actor. I think like he was like literally a model that they were like, oh, he could play Bond. He was like, really? Cool. But yeah, so there you go. Number 1, Pierce Brosnan, Daniel Craig, then Daniel Craig, then Timothy Dalton, then Sean Connery, then Roger Moore, then... Am I missing somebody? I don't think so. Let's see. Sorry, I mean, I saw No Time to Die, Not Die Another Day. Yeah, there you go. I did see Batman and Robin in the cinema, if that helps. I saw that in the cinema too. Yeah. First film I ever saw in the cinema was a re-release of The Jungle Book in the early 90s. And I got to see a lot of I missed Beauty and the Beast. I was a wee bit young to get seeing that, but I did see Aladdin, saw The Lion King, saw, like, you know, obviously showing my age. But yeah, no, I got to see a lot of those classics in the cinema, which was great. I'm a little biased for Pierce as well as a fellow Irishman. Yeah, I always find it funny too, just how English James Bond is, and yet out of all the actors, only two of them were English, because you had a Scot, an Irishman, a Welshman, an Aussie, and then two English fellas. First movie I saw was Finding Nemo back in 2003. Oh, I missed that one in the cinema. I was a teenager at that point, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to see a Pixar movie. But then I saw it on DVD when it came out, and I was like, oh, this is so sweet. So, yeah. In 2003, yeah. Oh, I was obsessed with Lord of the Rings. Still am. So that shelf up there, the top 3 shelves are Tolkien. Brosnan, he is Bond. Connery, classic. Lazenby, his acting isn't that bad. Yeah, I'm being harsh. But Moore, funny. Craig has his moments, but too moody. Yeah, and Dalton depends on my own mood, but most of the time, not really. Fair enough. Dalton was born in Wales but grew up in England. Yeah. Apparently I ran off in the cinema when Bruce the Shark showed up. I remember, so we went to see The Mask. So that would have been, what, 94, I think? And so I would have been 5. Looking back on it, I was probably a little bit too young to see that movie. But we went to see it. And I was there with, as far as I remember, my dad and I think one of my sisters. But I had taken it, I'd done this with a couple of movies before, where I went down and sat on my own, kind of in the front, or some of the front rows. And so I was watching it from down there, and I was like, oh, this is all great, you know, sitting down in front. They could keep an eye on me from up above, and it wasn't too busy. But the scene where he first puts on the mask, and there's that close up where he, like, his face is right up at the camera, he's like, scraping down like that. Scared the absolute bejesus out of me, and I ran back up to my dad. I was like, I didn't like that. But thankfully but I then remember watching the rest of the movie really nervous on when he would put the mask. Once the mask was on, it was fine. It was funny and entertaining. But anytime he would put the mask on, I was like, is he going to do the weird face thing again? No. But yeah, it's funny how those things stick with you. The new 007 game, First Light, was played by Irish actor Patrick Gibson. Oh, first movie I remember seeing in theatres was probably the first Harry Potter film. Bless. I am really curious now to see what Amazon is going to do with it. My prediction with the James Bond series is probably not good in the way of, in the current political climate, and given that billionaires seem to be more and more using their clout, using their money to sway narratives, I see a return to much more overt misogyny within James Bond, and I see it being applauded by many of the right-winger types. Go, oh, finally a Bond who says it like it is again. I see a return to that, and a much higher body count on the women, and I don't mean death wise, but like I just mean body count, and because you could see, you know, Brosnan's Bond was aware of it but still did it, whereas Daniel Craig's Bond, and I mean like the people involved in making the Daniel Craig films were aware of the accusations of misogyny and aware of how he treated women, and so I think it was much more conscious and you can see much more kind of conscious decisions being made in the Daniel Craig films. Not going full on woke, but yeah, I think definitely much more aware. But let's see. I dread what will happen with the brand under a real life Bond villain. Yeah, like that's the thing. That's the thing. Do you know what he's going to do? He's going to do a Blofeld origin story about why Blofeld's actually right. Actually, that's what he's going to do. At least, and he's going to play it himself. At least Daniel Craig did get the Benoit Blanc trilogy. Oh yeah, Knives Out, Glass Onion, and Waking Up Dead Man. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I really enjoy that. Yeah, his accent is just hilarious, isn't it? Surprised child you didn't freak out when the evil mask or the masked dog showed up. That it was more so that it was right up against the camera. And that was the thing. It was the right up against the camera and the scraping down and the way the glowy thing. That's what freaked me out. It was really sensory. It was really visceral, whereas it's not as up close in that way when it happens later in the film. And I think at that point later in the film too, I was much more on board with how the film worked. But it was just that's the first major moment that it took me off guard as well. Bring back colorful and fun villains. Yeah, like I am. Don't get me wrong. I am all for perhaps a return to the camp, a return to the silly, a return to that kind of thing. You see that in different series. Like you see that with the likes of Batman and stuff, where it kind of goes back and forth between being deadly serious and being campy and fun. And I think they both kind of have a place to be in that. But yeah, I don't know what like when people are sitting there bemoaning it and going, "Oh, Bond is dead," or "This is the end. Is this the end of Bond?" Like, look at this countdown. There are Bonds from every era at every point on this countdown. So it just shows you how up and down the series is, and how now obviously this isn't definitive here either, but like it just shows you that any of the Bonds can be terrible, like Daniel Craig, who is almost at the top, is right at the bottom of my list, and then Roger Moore, and then Pierce Brosnan, and then another Pierce Brosnan, then another Roger Moore, then another Daniel Craig, then Sean Connery, and again I feel really bad for Thunderball being there, but however. But yeah, so there you go. If they tweak Bond to appeal to the right, it will tank right-wingers. Don't have much sway as we think. It's like mega whining about Bad Bunny at the FB. Bond could back to the 1960s or take influence from the James Bond Jr. cartoon. That's an interesting one to explore. Is setting it in the 60s again. To be honest, I think Hollywood is so creatively bankrupt at this stage that I would not be surprised if they bring it all right back to basics and adapt the novels again. Just like we're just going right back, and they go off with Dr. No and Goldfinger, and they just bite the bullet and say we're doing it again. Because that's where Hollywood is now. It's minimal effort for maximum gain. Let's see. Bond could, but yeah. I would have loved to see Patrick McGoohan play Bond. He was great in Danger Man and The Prisoner, and was considered for the role instead of Connery and Moore, but rejected on religious grounds. Oh, that's interesting. which is Patrick McGoohan again? I'll know him to see, because I remember him from... Yeah, his face was in my mind. Who does he looks like somebody else. Do you know he looks a little bit like Richard Burton? Oh wait, that's the same guy. Oh no, wait, that's the same guy who grew up to be the guy who plays Edward the Longshanks in Braveheart. I didn't realize that was the same guy. Huh, bizarre. Here you go. Let me just, that is him, isn't it? Best friends. Yeah, that was him. There you go. And he was the judge in A Time to Kill. There you go. Now let's see. I think that was Quentin Tarantino's idea for Casino Royale. Oh, bringing it back to the 60s? Yeah, that's fair. Has he... what's the closest he's done to a James Bond film, I wonder? Probably Inglourious Basterds would be his closest. I'd be interested to see his take. Not specifically on Bond, but a spy caper. My own idea is, what if James Bond gets isekai and the Bond girl is a fantasy warrior elf? Today, what is that? Did you just have me read something out? I don't know what that is. I'm showing my ignorance. Subgenre includes novels, webtoons, manga. For example, a powerful protagonist who's able to beat most people in the other world fights. Okay, yeah. They're like just like overly powered. Okay. And with the sale of Warner Brothers, this only gets worse. Oh God, can we just like see this whole monopoly BS is just really getting at me, and how there are no grown-ups in the room, you know, like there are no responsible grown-ups in the room who are sitting there going, well, there are a handful, but they're not in the position to actually be able to do anything. But like, I look at the Gilded Age of the 1890s, of the robber barons and all of that, and then you had Teddy Roosevelt coming in going, right, look, we need to break up these monopolies, and we need to actually do something about this, because these monopolies are killing America, and it's happening again, you know, and these monopolies are killing not just America, they're killing the world. It all goes back to capitalism. I hate to say it. I hate to sound like a broken record. I mean, it doesn't, because, you know, they'd be like, well, I mean, feudalism did come before. But yeah, but the, you know, at the moment, capitalism is what is resulting in the vast majority of the world's wealth being in the hands of a very small minority. So, go figure. Let's see. Once upon a time in Hollywood, Leonardo DiCaprio's character moved to Italy to star in a knockoff Bond film. Oh yeah, we've gone from 6 big studios to only 4 in just a decade. Yeah, that's messed up. It's really messed up. It's insane. Late stage capitalism. Yeah, for you, absolutely. But yeah, is Universal Studios the only one doing okay? I know Disney, Paramount, and Warner Brothers are on fire. I don't even know, like, are they doing well? I mean, the problem is that in over the last 10 years and more, 20 years more so, but like very much last 10 years, that studios have just gone on autopilot and have all been about franchise have all been about bankable IP as opposed to new stuff, and and just building it on nostalgia. And the problem is that nostalgia is an Ouroboros that is eating itself, and they're going to get to a point, and it's already happening, where you've got a younger generation now who aren't nostalgic for the things that the studios are kind of pining them to be, and yeah, it's really interesting to see, but like, what will 2010's nostalgia look like? Where it was just dominated by Marvel and sequels and like it's a weird one. Like the 2010s will be remembered a lot by like Stranger Things and things like that, and which ironically is a whole pastiche of the 80s, but such is the in fairness, you got that too, where some of the most iconic films of the 80s are send up to the 50s and 60s, and that's the cycle of nostalgia. But that's the problem now, is that cycle was always bankable, but the problem is that they've oversaturated the market with so much nostalgia that there's nothing new for future generations to be nostalgic for in the same way. So we'll see. You ever watched Nostalgia Critic? He had two characters called the Chart Guys, who are two studio execs who make decisions based on charts. Oh, I watched Nostalgia Critic when I was in my early 20s and thought it was hilarious. But like a lot of people, I grew up and grew out of watching Nostalgia Critic. Don't get me wrong, he was a very important part of my my Manny Man videos were literally featured on that guy with the glasses.com for what was Channel Awesome. So I was associated with them, but like I was brought in as the big massive kind of like exodus of people getting out of it happened, because there was so much messed up stuff going on in Channel Awesome. I was unaware of this, and most of the people being brought in were unaware. We were just going, oh wow, we're being asked to be part of Channel Awesome, this is amazing. But very little actually came about of it on my part. Yeah, like he did capture some bits, and like the whole studio execs thing was effective, and there are some wee bits that there are some wee bits of Nostalgia Critic that still kind of live rent free in my brain, but generally speaking, I think that he was overly harsh on too many films that for a very long time actually held me back from watching them. Because I was like, oh, well, I mean, I don't need to watch it because I remember it, so you don't have to. I don't need to watch it because he's sufficiently torn it apart. And then I actually go back and revisit. I'm trying to think of something that happened to me where I was just like, oh, this is not as bad as what he was saying it was. I can't think now, but it has happened where I'm like, why did I hold myself back from watching this for this long? But such is bad faith criticism, where it's just like, and initially it came from a fun place, but it just got very cynical. And I think it's just kind of sad now because his audience grows up and moves on and are replaced by a new generation of, and don't get me wrong, like there's space for that, but I just think it's kind of sad. Whereas, you take the likes of Lindsay Ellis, who her audience grew up with her and her stuff is so much better and immature and I'll park that one. But let's see. He's not good for watching actual critical analysis, but he's an absolute riot if you just watch them for his comedy skits. See, that's the thing. I grew wary of the comedy skits, and I was just like, yeah, it just got to a point where I kind of saw the Matrix and I was just like, I can't watch this anymore. Some stuff is fairly good for analysis, though his Lorax video is excellent, for instance. I might check it out. But anyway, folks, on this note, right now, I will leave you to it. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much, everybody, for the super chats. I hope you've enjoyed this. And let me know if you're watching this again. Leave in the comments any suggestions. Some of you were saying, you know, ranking Star Wars and stuff. I'd absolutely be down for that. That would be a lot of fun. Yeah, no, this has been fun. So thanks a million, folks. And there we go. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the bell icon. And please support this channel with patreon.com/John D. Ruddy.